Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are jumping into what's rapidly becoming one of the most active frontiers in medical tech, embodied artificial intelligence, or EMAI.
Mm-hmm.
We're finally moving beyond AI that just predicts things. You know, the algorithms that diagnose an image or forecast a disease risk.
Right.
We're moving to AI that actually interacts with the physical world through, a body.
And that's the absolute key distinction. Traditional AI, it's been a powerful diagnostic tool. It's brought incredible precision to modeling.
No question.
But its full integration into physical, hands-on clinical work, it's been slow, it's been very constrained.
So what are the constraints?
Well, healthcare systems everywhere are still facing these huge hurdles. You've got access inequities, deep inefficiencies in how care is delivered, and this constant struggle to give people truly personalized solutions.
And EMAI is designed to tackle that head-on.
Exactly. It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
It's designed to confront those constraints by giving the algorithms, well, the equivalent of hands and feet.
That is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We are going to unpack the dense technological foundations here, explore some genuinely surprising applications, and, they range from autonomous surgical robots to emotional companion seals.
They really do.
And critically, we have to analyze the serious ethical and regulatory hurdles these systems have to overcome as they move from the lab into the OR and, into the patient's home.
Great. So to start, maybe we should get a clear definition on the table. Well, what is EAI exactly?
Good idea.
Well, think of it as a sophisticated fusion. You're taking these advanced AI algorithms, I'm talking multimodal, large language models, world models, that's the brain.
Okay, the brain.
And you're integrating that brain with physical technologies, robotics, mechatronics, advanced sensors, that's the body.
So it's this integration that allows it to actually do things.
It gives the AI a tangible medium. Yeah, lets it move beyond just making a recommendation to achieving real-time enhanced autonomy. It can make a decision and then execute a physical action in the world.
Okay, so let's unpack that. We've seen standard deep learning models perform miracles in, classification and prediction. So why did traditional AI sort of hit a wall when it came to fundamentally changing the action of clinical care? What are the four specific gaps EMAI is engineered to close?
Well, traditional AI is brilliant at pattern recognition, but it fails where the physical world demands continuous interaction. So the first gap is what we call insufficient multimodal processing.
Multimodal, so more than just sight.
Far more. Current systems often rely too heavily on vision and language. But think about complex clinical tasks. A surgeon feeling for a tumor's boundary, or a nurse detecting a very subtle change in a patient's odor that might signal an infection.
Things you can't just see on a screen.
Exactly. Those rely on high-fidelity tactile sensations, even olfactory cues. If the AI doesn't have a sensor system that can process touch, pressure, smell, it's just missing critical data. It doesn't have true situational awareness.
So the AI is essentially blind to the richness of the environment. It makes it a pretty poor participant in the physical world.
It does. And the second challenge is the separation of development and deployment.
Okay.
A deep learning model is trained in a clean, massive, but static data environment. Once you deploy it, it's rigid. It really struggles to continuously adapt or learn from new interactions or self-improve in the, let's face it, the chaotic reality of a clinical setting.
Where conditions are always changing.
Constantly.
Yeah.
This rigidity makes them brittle when they face something new.
So that rigidity means they can't learn on the job, which is what you need when every single surgical procedure or rehab session has its own unique challenges.
Precisely. And the third issue revolves around insufficient human-machine interaction.
Right.
Even the most advanced conversational AIs, while they're great at generating text, often lack the necessary behavioral components.
What does it mean by behavioral?
Well, take something complex like a mental health intervention. You need advanced reasoning, a robust memory, and the ability to handle subtle, nonverbal cues, things like a patient's posture or their vocal tone. And you need to align those observations with long-term treatment goals.
So just chatting isn't enough.
Not even close. The AI needs to behave therapeutically.
Which brings us to the final and I think most crucial point, the absence of a decision-to-action pathway.
Yes. Traditional AI gives you an accurate diagnosis or an optimal plan, and then it stops.
Right.
Without embodiment in a robot or a device, it can't physically execute the intervention. It can tell the surgeon what to cut, but it can't pick up the scalpel.
EMAI provides that physical capability. It translates the insight directly into action.
But in doing so, it can alleviate a huge amount of human workload.
So if the robot or the exoskeleton is the body that closes those physical gaps, we need to dive into the brain. What are the core capabilities, the perception, the planning, the memory that power these new systems?
The EMAI brain really needs four interconnected capabilities to work. The first is embodied perception.
Okay.
This is its ability to interpret high-dimensional noisy sensory data from all kinds of sensors, cameras, depth sensors, tactile devices. This includes cross-modal perception, so integrating what it sees with what it touches.
And it also includes something called interactive perception.
Yes, which is understanding what an object affords the robot to do.
Let's simplify that term, affordance. What does that mean in practice?
Okay, think of it this way. When a human looks at a door handle, you don't just see a piece of metal. You perceive that the handle affords gripping and twisting.
Right, I see its purpose.
EMAI needs that same immediate understanding. It's not just seeing a syringe, but realizing that the syringe affords filling, precise injection, and then safe disposal. It's a functional understanding.
That makes perfect sense. So it's moving beyond simple identification. What's next?
The next capability is low-level actuation. This handles the real-time motor control, the really fine-grained movement. It requires pretty sophisticated policy representation. We're seeing a move away from simple, explicit policies toward techniques like diffusion policies.
Wait, diffusion models. Aren't those the things that generate those incredibly realistic images? Why is that relevant for how a robot moves?
It's a great question. It's because of their ability to handle complexity and multimodality. Diffusion policies generate actions by refining noise, step by step. This makes the actions expressive.
So they're not just following one single fixed path.
Exactly. They can sample many possible good movements based on the current situation,
Right.
which makes them really robust when they're faced with uncertain or changing physical conditions. It's perfect for navigating the complexities of, say, human anatomy.
Okay, so actuation is for the minute-by-minute movements. What about the long-term strategy for, a complex multi-step procedure?
That falls under high-level planning. And this capability leverages large language models to bridge that gap between high-level reasoning and low-level physical execution. We're seeing two main paradigms emerging. First, you have code-based planners.
Okay.
These select predefined modular skills using APIs. They are reliable, they're structured, they're very safe because they're only picking from a known menu of established skills.
So it's like having a menu of approved surgical techniques. The robot just selects one and executes the pre-vetted steps safely.
Precisely. And second, you have language-based planners, which generate detailed, flexible, task-specific instructions based entirely on the LLM's own generative power.
And these are more adaptable.
Much more. They're better in open-ended or uncertain environments because they can integrate diverse feedback on the fly.
But I have to ask, how can we trust a language-based planner for something life-critical, like a real-time surgery? Doesn't that very flexibility introduce an element of risk? The LLM making a decision we don't fully anticipate.
That is the core challenge. You've hit on it. Language-based planners offer this incredible adaptability, but they require much stricter oversight and validation before they can be deployed in high-stakes fields like surgery.
So they're better suited for other things right now.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
For open-ended environments like hospital logistics or maybe companion roles. And finally, all this cognition needs robust memory processing. New approaches like memrag enhance planning by retrieving past experiences.
So it's like the robot's clinical notes.
You could think of it that way. It ensures it doesn't repeat past mistakes or forget a critical step in a sequence. It ensures rational decision-making in these really dynamic environments.
Okay, let's turn to the applications, because this is where the theory really hits the road for you, the listener. Where are these integrated systems already transforming how healthcare is delivered?
We can look across four major domains, but let's start with clinical intervention. Orthopedic surgery is really pioneering this, moving solidly toward precision medicine.
Right.
Systems like Stryker's Mako Smart Robotics platform integrate 3D CT-based planning with something called a cussed-up haptic technology.
What does that haptic technology practically mean for the surgeon in the moment?
It acts like an invisible digital fence. The system lets the surgeon adjust implant placement based on real-time soft tissue laxities, which enhances positioning accuracy.
In the fence part.
When the surgeon is cutting bone, the robot knows exactly where the cut should stop. If the surgeon tries to go too far, the machine physically resists. It prevents that unintended bone damage what we call iatrogenic trauma.
Wow.
And it's a documented reduction compared to using manual cutting blocks. It just standardizes high-precision procedures.
That's incredible. A system that physically prevents human error in real time. Okay, moving outside the OR. EMAI is making waves in daily care and companionship, especially in mental health.
This is a crucial area. It leverages advanced emotional recognition. So EMAI systems are being used as social guides or mental healers.
How does that work?
They use speech analysis and physiological feedback to provide personalized cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. They're also being integrated into virtual reality environments for exposure therapy for conditions like PTSD or phobias.
So it adapts the therapy in real time.
Exactly. It makes subtle, dynamic adjustments to the virtual world based on the user's physiological response, heart rate, skin response, things like that.
But then you have the physical companion robots, which I think really challenge our traditional view of what therapy is.
Absolutely. For emotional support, intelligent animal-like robots are in use all over the world. The best-known example is probably Pero,
The seal.
the plush, interactive harp seal, yeah. It's used everywhere from nursing homes to hospitals to reduce stress, loneliness, and agitation, especially in vulnerable groups like dementia patients. The structured, predictable interaction is key.
And it works for other groups, too.
Oh, yes. Studies show that children with autism spectrum disorder, for instance, often show significantly increased engagement and reduced anxiety when they interact with structured systems like the humanoid robots, NAO, and Qt Robot.
More so than with human therapists sometimes.
In some cases, yes. More than with traditional human therapists.
It's fascinating that a simple, weighted plush seal or a predictable robot can sometimes be a more effective immediate therapist for certain conditions.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that say about structured care versus empathetic care?
It suggests that predictability and a non-judgmental presence and a tailored structure can sometimes unlock communication pathways where human interaction might be overwhelming or inconsistent.
So it's not about replacement.
Not at all. This is not about replacing human empathy. It's about extending the tools of care.
And what about physical recovery, say, after an intervention?
Post-intervention and rehabilitation benefits hugely. Intelligent exoskeletons, for instance, provide highly precise, guided exercises and adaptive feedback. They're particularly beneficial for stroke or spinal cord injury survivors.
Where repetition is key.
Consistent, high-fidelity repetition is essential, yes. And we're also seeing tremendous growth in virtual reality systems here. They offer immersive, engaging, and cost-effective guided exercises, all monitored by sensors for real-time progress tracking.
Okay, finally, let's touch on infrastructure support, which is maybe less visible but vital for a hospital to function.
Right. We see disinfection robots using EMAI navigation to just autonomously move through complex hospital layouts and automate hygiene protocols.
Freeing up human staff.
Exactly. And specialized rescue robots, Life Scouts or Agile Walkers, use MLMs to process complex visual and auditory data to navigate hazardous terrain in emergencies. They're replacing humans in high-risk zones to find survivors or deliver supplies.
The functional promise is undeniable, but we have to ask, where are we on the intelligence scale? I mean, are we close to this future of fully autonomous medical care?
We are not. And recognizing the distance is crucial. Researchers use a framework, the levels of embodied AI. It spans from level 1, which is just fixed, pre-programmed actions, up to level 5, which would be full autonomy and expert-level decision-making.
So where do most of the advanced systems we just talked about actually fall?
Currently, most advanced frameworks, even successful ones like Mako, they're generally functioning between levels 1 and 3.
So what's a level 1 versus a level 3?
Level 1 is the surgical robot that's only executing pre-programmed motions. Level 3 is the system we discussed. It integrates multimodal inputs, it makes real-time adjustments like adjusting cutting force based on tissue density, but it might have only mastered one single specialized skill.
And what would a level 5 look like in a daily care setting?
A level 5 surgical robot would make fully autonomous, expert-level decisions during an operation. It would proactively adjust its technique and improve based on experience from thousands of cases, just like a senior surgeon.
And a companion robot.
A level 5 companion robot would proactively assess mental health, optimize its responses based on an individual's long-term history, and offer truly personalized help, like a true friend. It would understand complex, non-verbal emotional states without being prompted.
And we are not there yet.
We're still some way from mastering that level of autonomous sophistication.
Okay, so moving from the technical scale to the real-world roadblocks. What are the immediate technical and security issues preventing widespread deployment, even at level 3?
The physical nature of EMAI introduces these critical security risks.
Yeah.
We call them intervention security risks
Right.
because these systems directly execute physical actions. Cutting bone, moving a patient, delivering a radiation dose, a cyber attack or an adversarial attack doesn't just result in data theft.
It has physical consequences.
Direct, physical, potentially lethal consequences for the patient.
So if the robot is on a network, a data breach is no longer just a digital problem, it's actual physical harm to a human being.
Exactly. And this means we need layers of rigorous validation, real-time anomaly detection, and fail-safe mechanisms that are far more robust than what we currently use for, say, consumer tech.
And there's another huge issue.
A massive issue, interoperability. The healthcare IT landscape is notoriously fragmented. You have all these disparate medical devices, proprietary software, a lack of standardized data formats.
Even with things like HL7 or FHIR.
Even with those established initiatives, this fragmentation severely hinders the seamless, continuous integration that EMAI needs to function as a unified learning system across a hospital.
That lack of standardization is a huge bottleneck. Okay, let's shift our focus now to the human element. What does this massive technological leap mean for patient trust, for legal accountability, and for fairness?
These are the critical challenges that will dictate the speed of adoption. Let's start with informed consent and the black box.
The black box problem.
Many of the most powerful deep learning models are inherently opaque. They're black boxes. And this complexity makes it incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible, for a clinician to fully explain the exact reasoning behind an AI's specific recommendation or action to a patient.
Which puts the clinician in an impossible position. They have to explain something they don't fully understand to fulfill the legal requirement of informed consent.
It absolutely undermines patient autonomy when the core rationale just isn't available. And next, we face a major challenge with algorithmic bias and fairness.
Okay.
AI systems are only as good as the data they are trained on. If models are trained predominantly on non-representative datasets, say, they lack sufficient data diversity across different races or sexes. Their accuracy and reliability plummet when applied to underrepresented groups.
And we've seen this happen, haven't we? A diagnostic model performs perfectly for one demographic and terribly for another.
Yes. For example, some early models designed to classify bone density or skin conditions showed reduced accuracy for non-white populations because the training images were just too homogeneous. This leads to what we call algorithmic discrimination.
Which risks widening health disparities, not closing them.
Precisely. And then there's the legal question that keeps everyone up at night: accountability and legal liability.
Right. Who's responsible?
When an adverse outcome happens during a robot-assisted procedure, the traditional lines of liability are completely blurred. Who is responsible? Is it the surgeon who followed the AI's guidance? Is it the algorithm developer who designed the opaque system? Is it the organization that was responsible for the flawed training data?
The legal frameworks we have just aren't built for this.
They struggle with this multifactorial causality, and establishing clear liability is essential for promoting both safety and innovation.
Finally, there's the social dimension.
We have to consider the social resource allocation dilemma, especially in the context of the global digital divide. Policymakers in underdeveloped regions face a stark, really complex choice.
The choice between this high-tech intervention and just basic needs.
Exactly. Should limited healthcare resources be invested in high-cost EMAI technology, which promises these long-term benefits, or should those funds be allocated to more immediate basic necessities, like clean water, vaccinations, and human staff?
Because if it's not done carefully.
If the deployment of cutting-edge AI isn't carefully aligned with community needs and scaled affordably, there's a substantial risk that these innovations will primarily benefit the already privileged, widening health disparities globally.
So we've covered EMAI as a transformative paradigm. It's moving care from predictive diagnostics to adaptive physical action across surgery, rehabilitation, companionship. It promises this hyper-personalized care, but it is still a technology in its relative infancy, constrained by these complex technical and ethical hurdles.
Its infancy, absolutely. The immediate future focus has to be on aggressively advancing multimodal sensing and safe human-AI interaction. But crucially, these technical advancements have to be coupled with rigorous solutions for the profound ethical and safety issues we've discussed.
It's not just an engineering problem.
Not at all. The successful, equitable future of EMAI demands deep, mandated collaboration across engineering, medical practice, and ethical governance.
It makes you think about the ultimate goal here. The famous deep medicine concept suggests AI handles the automatable tasks, the deep learning, to free up human clinicians for deep empathy. But if EMAI companion robots like Pero are successfully reducing diagnosed loneliness and distress in vulnerable groups like the elderly, what does that say about the fundamental human need for connection?
Mm.
And if a programmed robot can sometimes meet that need more effectively than human visitors, how should we as a society define the boundaries and expectations of that sophisticated yet digital relationship? That's something for you to mull over as you navigate the complexities of our increasingly embodied world.